What's up, everybody? Chris Flick here. Chris Flick Podcast, episode number 155. A few days ago, I was listening to Barry Weiss's podcast, Honestly, which I really respect this woman's opinion. I respect her courage. I respect her strong will to stand up for things she believes in. And so I respect so much so that I'm listening to all of her podcast episodes, even if I'm a few years behind now. And I don't care, because I'm going to catch up, Barry, and I'm going to listen to everything you have to say because I value what you have to say. Now, one of her episodes, she has Kim Kardashian on, and this conversation was surprisingly insightful. I did not expect this. Now, they talked a lot about prison reform, but at the end of the conversation, Weiss asked Kardashian, what advice would you give to your 15-year-old self? And she said, I would spend more time with my father because he's not going to be here much longer. And that comment, combined with today, what would be my brother's 39th birthday, October 16th, has got me thinking, what advice would I give myself from 10 years ago, as my brother died 9.5 years ago? So in that 6 months leading up to his death, right? What advice, right? You go through all of these thoughts. If you have a family member struggling with some sort of mental health thing, whether or not it's just depression, whether or not it's addiction of something, right? What do? You have a choice to make. Do you stand there and be there for them? Do you enable them? Do you kick them to the curb because it's easier for you, right? It's easier for you to not shoulder that burden. It's easier for you not to think, not to do, not to care. It's easier to put off what you should do today, right? It's easier to put that off until tomorrow, and then tomorrow becomes the upcoming months, and then tomorrow becomes, the years, all right? It's easier to put that stuff off. But if you have somebody in your life that might be in need of a little bit of attention, I think you need to figure out a way to nudge them in the right direction, to be there for them, but not enable them, not to further create a bigger problem, but to try to show them the path that they should be on by your actions. Now, psychologist Carl Rogers believed that it was impossible to start a therapeutic relationship if the person seeking help did not want to improve. It was impossible to convince someone to change for the better. The desire to improve was the precondition for progress. Going on, maybe instead of continuing our friendship, I should just go off somewhere, get my act together, and lead by example. There's sometimes individuals are not going to want to hear what you have to say. If this is somebody that you care for, it doesn't mean that you stop giving them that message. It doesn't mean that you throw them to the side because it's easier for you today to handle your own life and not be worried about somebody else. You don't want to take on their burden, but that's still somebody in your life. That's still somebody that's important to you. And you need to maybe shoulder a little bit of that burden and show them the way. Show them that you can find enjoyment in life, that they could, eliminate this, that eliminating this pointless suffering, that whatever they're facing, it can be overcome. And you could do that by your own actions. You could do that by the words that you use. You could do that by deciding that today I am going to shoulder that burden. Today I am not going to enable any of their behaviors. Today I am going to try to do something today that is going to help that individual get on the right path. That's all we could do, right? Because like Roger said, the precondition for progress is required before anybody makes any progress. They have to want it. Going into a situation, they have to kind of be ready to accept any kind of help that will get them on the right path. And going on with this thing, man, I feel that I cannot have this episode without saying, I think everybody, there's a certain redemptive quality in everybody. And I talked about Lest Innocent Blood Be Shed. It was a great book that I need to revisit over and over again, because what they taught me, what that book taught me, what Andre Trachmy and his wife Magda, what they taught me is that even if you are, a Nazi guard coming to arrest your husband, that's still a human being. That's still somebody that might need a warm meal. Magda Trachmy gave the Nazi guards that were arresting her husband, a nice warm dinner on the night that they arrested him. Why? Because she believed that they had some good in them and that they could overcome whatever that evil is, whatever that badness that has overcome them. She believed that they could that they could overcome that. And she wanted to lead, she wanted to show them an example of humanity. She wanted to show them an act of kindness, and she wanted to show them that she cared about them. And that is the example I think that we need to have in our everyday life. So if somebody is struggling, if somebody is doing some nasty things, like I said, men, we don't enable them by allowing that behavior to continue or feeding into that behavior. But we do it by showing acts of kindness, and we do that over and over again, and we show them that life is worth living. And we lead by example, and we shoulder the burden. All right? Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This podcast is available on all podcasting sites, platforms, whatever you want to call it. If you like this stuff, go to chrisfluck.net. You type in it says we have a heck of a newsletter. Put your email address in there, and every Sunday morning at 7:30, which is real soon here today, you'll be getting a email into your inbox about all kinds of stuff. And I'm excited. Each week, I'm realizing the email is starting to get a little bit longer and longer in some sections. So I guess I'm going a little bit deeper into some topics now, but anyway, it's all a thought experiment, really. Everything that I'm doing is a thought experiment, and all these thought experiences kind of feed into what I do in the gym, and when I'm working with kids, when I'm trying to build her at the farm. We're trying to create a great environment, Aristotle style, right? It forces you to think and also to physically exert yourself each and every day. Hope you guys like this. Peace, everybody.